get back to work. Yeah. So I think last time we stopped at functions, right?
Yes, Prasanna.
Okay. Have you got some time to do some hands-on?
No, Prasanna, like weekends, I won't be there at home Saturday and Sunday, full days.
Okay, I understand, but I think you should start doing some hands-on because
Yeah, yeah.
these are just the concepts, and until and unless we don't do hands-on, we'll not have this in our mind. Okay,
Okay, I'll do
whenever you,
that. No,
yeah,
yeah.
whenever you get some time, just work on these things. Okay, so yeah, last time we stopped using the written statements here. So yes, so we said like why these written statements are required, why not just print? Print is not directly used anywhere. Whenever we say there's a program defined and we want to use that function at multiple places, there should be a written statement and not the print, because we don't use console at all the places. Right, console is just for our usual test of our code, but whenever there is an end-to-end application, we don't ask them to print it. We will just perform the action. So for every function, there should be a return statement. So that is why return is important for any function. Okay, and now if how can we use written statements with expressions, that we will see. So here I said like x is 1 and y is 5, and I'll written like x plus 5 or something. So for example, if I wanted to use this function and print something, for example, I say print of this function, the response of this function, like add two numbers, and then I will say that I want an expression to be resolved here. Like for example, if I give x as 7 and y as 8, and I say this function returns the multiplication of this one, right? So this one, and when I call this function multiply two numbers, and I say after multiplying I need some expression to be handled, like after getting the response add something to it. Okay, so for this one, what it happens, it will get into the function, it will give the response, which is 7 into 8, which is 56, and then it will return this to this particular one, and then after that the response will be added to 44, right? So when I execute this, if you see, 56 plus 44, which is the 100. Okay, so why can't we use the print directly? Let's see that example as well. In the return, instead of returning this, I will use the print one. Okay, I will say print of x into y. Okay, so this will be there. This will work properly. That x into y, the multiplication will work properly. But I am saying that this is a print statement. Then if I say that multiply this one is I'm using this function, I'm calling this function, and after that if I wanted to execute something, that is not possible, because it will give the first response first. What we are doing is we are calling this function. That is fine, because this is calling and it is printing the value of x into y, which is 7 into 8, 56. It is printing it, but later on it cannot, because print function always returns some string value. Okay, and it whenever we use print and there's no written statement, that means this is returning nothing, that is none type. If you see in the error, it says none type, so it is not written in anything, so it cannot be added with any of the integer. So that is why we use written statements instead of print for any function. I say return here, now this will work like this expression, because this is returning something at this place, and after that I'm adding that to the expression. So this is why we use return with expressions, and that is why functions need a return statement. Okay.
Okay.
And then we'll go for an example, like how we can write a function, small program we will try, like how to print the volume of a rectangular prism. You know prism, right? It's a pyramid kind of shape. So what the formula usually it is the volume is length into width into height, right? So what we'll do is we'll try a small program where we say we'll take the inputs like length, width and height. All we will take as inputs from the user, and what we have to do is we should write a function with length, width and height as inputs and return volume. Okay, that, and then we will print that the volume of prison is this one. So how? I to just save some time, I've already written the code and kept it. So I'll explain the code. Instead of typing it, I'll just copy paste it. Okay. Mm, yeah. So what I'm doing here is I'm asking the user to do the input. Give the input where length, width and height are given as input. I want them in integers. So I have wrapped it with the integer function. So input and integer function we have already seen. So the same thing I'm using here. And in the function, what I'm saying is this calculates the volume of the prism. And the inputs, whatever we get from the user, we are passing as a parameters for this function. And we say that in the return, just multiply these three and give as a volume. So in the print statement, what we will do is we will give the user that the volume of the prism is the prism volume, this function we are calling, along with the input parameters like length, width and height, whatever we get here as variables. So we are passing that variable here. But why are we wrapping it with the string function? Is that the print statement only uses string with whenever we are concatenating it. Right, this one example we have seen already. So here I'm just taking three variables using a function. I'm defining the volume and then printing the user that this is the volume of the prism. Okay, so if I execute this one now, see it asks me give me the length. For example, 5, again 5, again 5. Then it says 125 cubic feet is the volume of the prism. This is just a small program where we say we take the input from the user and we have created the function where it returns the volume of the prism and we are printing it to the user, right? So these are about like how to create a function and how we can use the written statement of the function. Okay, next one, the topic I would like to go with is the modules. Okay, okay. So what are modules? Modules are nothing but currently we are able to write what is a function. So modules are nothing but where we have certain number of functions which are already defined and we wanted to use it in our program. Okay, there might be like stable modules already um, in Python. You like basically we have this built-in modules in Python. Okay, I will show you. Like if you get into your command prompt and to check the Python version, we have already seen this is the Python version which we have. Sorry, this is py hyphen hyphen version, right? So similarly, to know what are the built-in modules in your version, for example, I have 3.13.1 in my version. So what are the built-in modules for that particular version? What we can do is just say py and then enter. That will take you into your Python container. So then here what we have to do is just say help, and in the braces with single inverted commas just say modules. Okay, and when you click on enter, it will give you the default built-in modules for Python. Okay, there are a lot of modules. These are all predefined modules. What each one of them will have is a number of functions within it. How we can use those default functions instead of writing code for each and everything, how we can use the default functions from them, that we can see today. Okay, I will not tell all of them because it will take a lot of time, and I will just go through like two or three from them, and if you want more you can find it in the internet, okay, and understand like what it does. Okay, and we will go through some basic ones. For example, we'll go with this random. Okay, so what we will do whenever we want to import a module, the keyword which we use is import. Okay, and the module name which we have seen is random now, right? So what is this random module? What does this do? Okay, so this random is the name of the module which we have given, and this random is a module which contains functions which generate random things like random integers, random floats. Okay, now you will get a question where this can be used, right? For example, in testing, like for example, I wanted to test a function where I can give the numbers from 1 to 10 and it should give the output. So instead of you typing 1 to 10 numbers, it will generate randomly a number, and then it will go into your function, test it, and come back with that result. That is one of the use. The second use could be in the gaming. It's an example. Okay, in the gaming, for example, we all know that we play this Ludo and all, snake and ladders, where we have this dice which has numbers from 1 to 6. So if I wanted to generate a game of Ludo or something, whenever the user clicks on the dice, I need a random generated number from 1 to 6, right? So I cannot write a big program to generate these random numbers. So instead of that, we have a direct methods to generate random things. Like for example, I have imported the random module. This is a complete module. Okay, so whenever I import it, I can use that module and say, for example, here I will say random dot rand int. Rand int is a function where it will give you the numbers, random numbers from a point to a point. For example, I will say 1 and 10. Between 1 and 10, just give me some random numbers. Okay. So, for example, there is a dice. This run means whenever I'm clicking that dice, it will run this program. So first time when I'm running this program, see, it is giving 6, which is between 1 to 10. And again, if I run the program, it is giving 8. It generates just random number. There's no logic in it. See, 2 now, 2 again, 3. Okay. So these are some inbuilt modules. We will see few more examples, okay, of modules. Mm, what we can check here. We will go with the basic math. Okay. For example, I say I want this math module. Okay. So from math module, what I wanted is, I will say I want some square root. Square root is equal to math dot. Whenever we say modules, just use the module name and dot, then it will display you all the functions inside that module and what inputs you have to give in that. For example, if I have chosen the square root, okay, here it will show that you have to give some input here. It supports float also. Okay, so now I give something like 64. Okay, and if I run this, sorry, I did not print anything. Print of square root. Okay, and if I run this, see, the square root of 64 is 8. So you don't have to write a program for it. There is already a defined function for it. And for example, I want this value of pi. So I say pi constant value I want. So I will say math dot pi. Okay, and I will print it. Okay, see, if I run it, see, the pi value is 3.14. The pi value is already coming. You don't have to manually type that pi value will be this and you have to calculate based on this. You don't have to type it. So these are our basic modules. And the next module which
Prasanna,
Mhm.
like what are the frequent modules used? Frequently modules used.
See, based upon your program. For example, if you're writing any program where you have this mathematical equations, then you will use math. Or if you're writing some code based upon your JSON structures. Okay, you know this JSON and XML structures?
No, Prasanna.
Okay, so I'll tell you that. And when you want to write some JSON structures, you can use this JSON. And when you want to do something with your date and time, you don't have to manually generate date. Date should be this. No, you cannot generate. You can use your calendar components if you want. There are a lot. See, it is not like based upon your requirement you can use this, but mostly don't use all this JSON because nowadays all the input and output programs, like all programming languages use this one. If you have a HTTP request, for example, I will show you some program. Mm, what should I show? Not this. See, when I load this page, there is a call happening. Okay, there is a HTTP call which is happening. So mostly any of the application, if you go nowadays, they all accept only JSONs. Okay, JSON is a basic response structure. Okay, so this is the structure of JSON. When you preview it, it would be like this, like a array of structure. Okay, this is the basic JSON structure. So if you want to generate this, you cannot say that first you should get this one and then you should have inverted commas for every field and the value of it. You cannot directly type everything, right? So in that case, you will use a module, say JSON, and you just say JSON that convert this string into JSON. So it will convert into the JSON. So such kind of modules. Did you understand?
Yes, Prasanna.
Hmm. So these are like there are a lot like this UUID. If you see, it is just generating a unique identifier. That's all. There's not much big program that if you give 10 digits, I want a unique different ID for 10 digits. So it will just generate a 10 digit ID using your alphabets and numbers. So each and everything has its own like own way of working. Everything has multiple functions. For example, I'll show you few. For example, I'm taking this math only. Okay, when you control click on it, no, you will know. See, control and click is the shortcut to get into this. Uh, okay, and here if you see, there are a lot of functions. Okay, DEF, wherever you see DEF, that is defining a function. So there are a lot of functions here, predefined functions. We just use them wherever we want. So for example, I will use square root only. Not this, not this. Or if I say pi, see, it is already defined here. We don't have to do it in our values like exponential values. Okay. So there are defined functions already in these modules where we can use them. And basic ones will not be anything. Whatever is given in the default, those we can use based upon our requirements. That's all. Okay. And if I have to show you a few more examples like date time, we use date time for a lot of scenarios. Any scenario like I want a value at this timestamp or something like that, you need some date point or date time input or output at current date and time. If you wanted to see, you don't have to directly type it, right? So if I say here I want date of today, okay, then I will say date time. These are all predefined. Okay, date time dot date dot today, and you don't have to by heart this. You will get it in the internet, lot of places it is available, the default functions. Okay, now if I print it, see, today's date is 3rd March 2025, you get it here. And if I only want the time, okay, and I will say date dot date time dot time, no, now time, sorry, now and time. Now is to define current ones, current date, current time is for now. Okay, now if I print this, see, now the time is 6:29 p.m. here in my system. 6:29, see, 6:29, 1829 is 6:29. Okay. And if you want to see your environment details, what environment you're working on, so I would say I will just print the version. Okay, system dot version. See, this is the version of the system which I'm working on, the environment which I'm working on. Okay, and for example, if you want to print a calendar, there is this default something called calendar, and you can say I want to print the whole month. Okay, I'll say calendar dot month, and I will give the year and month for it. And if I run this, see, if you see, the whole February 2025 calendar is available. I don't have to manually say that this has to be displayed like this, right? So these are importing the modules directly. Okay, and whenever I'm importing a module, if you clearly observe, I am writing the name of the module and dot for referring that referring the functions within the module. So instead of that, if I wanted to uh, refer only the particular function, for example, I only want this function, I want to import only one function, not the entire module. Module is unnecessary for me. My memory is wasted. So in that case, how can I do it? This is called function import. Till now, what we have discussed is about the module import. So if I say I want the function import, I the first thing which I have to use is from. Okay, from keyword, and from this module, I want to import month function. This month is the name of the function. So from the calendar component, I want to import only month. So in this case, you don't have to type all this. You can directly import the function and use the function directly. I'll just say month of this thing and it will print me. Okay. So this is function importing. And along with that, there is this thing called universal import. I want to import everything which is available in this calendar. Like if I only just say import calendar, wherever I use this calendar part, I have to type this calendar and dot. I don't want to type it, and I don't want only single one. I want all of them which is available from the calendar, and I do not want to use this calendar dot to refer any of the function. In that case, what we can do is, instead of a single function where you can mention star. Star defines all the functions which are available in this particular module, and you don't have to specify the module. All the functions are directly imported. You are not just importing the module, you are importing all the functions which are available. So in this case, if you run it, it will work. Okay, and this is called as universal import. Wherever you use star, it is called as universal import. Okay. Hmm. And then now let's discuss about scope of variables. Till now we know like how to define variables and how to assign values of variables, but there is something called scope of variables. What is the scope of variables? We have this global and local scope. Okay, so what is this global scope and local scope? The difference we have to it's like very small difference, but we need to understand this difference. Okay, now global scope is that a variable which is defined inside the program and outside the function is called global variable. Okay, for example, I have something called x is a variable and I have defined this value 5 here. Okay, and I have a function test, and I say that x is 10 here, and I'll say print of x in this function. Okay, and I will just say print of x. So can you tell me the difference between this printx and this printx? What will the value be printed? I've defined the same variable here also and here also. So what it will print?
I think it's the second one, 10.
Okay, so whenever I call this function in the printx, it will print 10 you're saying. Here?
Maybe uh, that will print 5.
Hmm. Why? But the x value is updated to 10, no? Any idea? Okay, I'll tell you. See, this is a function. So my function starts with this definition, and whatever I write like with this four spaces gap, that will be inside my function. So my function ended here. This is only my function. This is out of this function. Okay. So whatever is defined inside the function, a variable defined inside the function is called as local variable. Okay. The scope of this one is local scope. That means this variable is valid only until this function is executed. Okay. And a variable which is defined outside the function, it is called global variable. Okay. And whenever outside the function, whatever you're calling, that will be a global function. This variable is global variable, so this will print 5 as you said. But why? Because this is defining only this global variable. This local variable ends within this function. Okay, I will say just return x here. Okay, and I will print this function as well. Okay, so in the first print, it will say because x is 5 is the global variable, it will print x as 5. Then in the next statement, I am saying get into this function and print this print whatever is returning from this function. So when I get into this, x is the local variable now. This it has nothing to do with this one. Okay, and then if I return this one, this will be 10 and not 5 anymore. If I print x again after this will not be updated because this is again the global variable. So when I print this, see, first print it is the x value, and even after getting into the function and calling updating the value as x, still my global variable is 5. Did you understand this concept?
Yes, Prasanna.
And there are some rules also here. Okay, so I will say print test scene. Okay, what I wanted to do here is local variable cannot be used in global. Okay, for example, I will say this x equal to 10 I have given, I will say y equal to 4, and this y is also my local variable, and this local variable I wanted to if I try to use it outside my function, okay, it is throwing error. Can you see? Unresolved reference. That means this is not available in your program. You cannot use it. That is the error it is showing, right? That means whatever the local variables you have, you cannot use it outside your function. But for example, there is my global variable, right? This is my global one, and this is my local one. But in my definition like function, I do not want to use a local one. I just wanted to update the global one. So there is one uh, one keyword called global. So if I say global x, that means I am using this x. I am not creating a new one. I am using the same x which is outside. Okay, if I run this one now, see, first the x is printed as 5, right? And I am using this, I'm calling this function and I am saying I'm using the same global x and I wanted to update it to 10. And I've printed the function result, that is 10. And now after updating it, even if I'm checking the global variable, it is updated. Because we are using global here, it is updating the global variable directly. Okay. Did you understand this?
Yes, Prasanna.
Right. And we can use the same variable in multiple functions as well. Like for example, I will say definition test 2, and I will say my x value is 15, and I will return x here. Okay, I'm using the same variable in global also, and both these locals also. And if I just say test2, and even if I print of x, now can you tell me the values, how we will get the sequence for the first one?
First one will be 5,
Hmm.
second one will be 10,
Hmm.
and third one will be 15, I guess.
Yeah, and
And
then
fourth
fourth.
one would be 5.
Correct, because they are local variables and we are not updating them. And if I use the same with the global, can you tell me now? First one.
First one would be 5,
Hmm.
second would be uh, 10,
Hmm.
third would be also 10, I guess.
Why?
You used global over there.
Global is only for this function, right?
Okay, okay, okay.
Global is only in that function. That function ends here.
Mm-hmm.
In that case,
15.
perfect. And here what I'll get in the fourth.
Maybe you have updated the 5 as 10, right?
Hmm. So,
So it will get 10.
perfect. That's all. And first one is 5, and the second one I have updated here the global variable, so it is 10. This is a local variable as it is, so it is 15, but last I'm printing the same global variable again, which is updated to 10. So now did you understand the difference between local and global?
Yes, Prasanna.
Perfect. Okay, then once this is done, let's get into flow control. um, I think you know this flow charts, right?
Yes.
What we do in the flowcharts is nothing but just make decision based upon the processes based upon the inputs, right? For example, this is a basic flowchart. I just said that we found something you wanted to buy. The next thing what you will check is, can you afford it or no? If yes, you will buy it. If no, you will wait for the sale. If it is available on the sale, yes, again you will buy it. If no, you will not buy it. Right? This is just a small example of flowchart how we will do. So the only thing what we are doing here is making decisions based upon the input. Here I'm asking the user to give some input, and based upon the input, if it is yes, I'm going here. If it is no, I'm going here. Right? This is called as flow control. How you are controlling the flow based upon the input. There might be only two possible inputs, yes or no. Based upon yes, what you are doing, based upon no, what you are doing. So this is called as flow control. Okay, basically we know this flow charts and all. This is just an example of flow control. So how we can do flow controls in our code? Okay, there are three different things. First one is Boolean values. You can just check true or false. We know that if this is true, do this. If this is not true, do this. We will check based on that, right? So The next one is the comparator operators and the Boolean operators. There are three flow controls which are Boolean values, comparator operators, and Boolean operators. First one, Boolean values, we all know it's true or false. The second one we will go comparator operators. What we have in comparator operators, the basic comparators like greater than, less than, right? Greater than, equal to, and less than, equal to, and which is not equal to. This exclamatory and equal to means not equal to. Okay, and then equal to. These are the basic six comparison operators, and all this either returns true or false. That's all. For example, I will say 4 is greater than 2, right? This is a true statement, we know. So what it will return? It has to return a true. So this is my true value. Okay. Um, the same thing I will say 1 is greater than 2, which is false. If I run it, it returns false. Right. So these things we know, like 1 is greater than or equal to 1. So this will return true because it can be equal to also. So these four things we have learned a lot. And this not equal to and equal to also based upon values, we know that 1 is equal to 1. We know it's true. But how we can do it with strings? Okay. If I say hello and this is also hello, these both are equal, right? So when I run the program, it says equal. But this one, comparators are always case sensitive. So if I just say H as capital H, this will be false now. See. So comparators always are case sensitive. Okay. And it returns true or false as our uh, written value. Okay. So here, the main thing is why we are using this double equal to. Why not single equal to? Right? There might be a question, right? So what single equal to is, till now we have used it like I just say x equal to 5. This is not throwing any error, right? If I use this now like this, it is throwing error. That means this is not possible. Why? Single equal to is used only for assignments of values. Like whenever you are assigning a value to a variable, whenever you are assigning a value to any of the object, that is where we use single equal to, right? So when I use double equals, that means you are comparing. Whenever you are comparing, we use double equal to. That is why this is one of the comparator operator. Okay, so this is the basic difference. And then boolean operators, these are a small thing, like we use mostly in lot of code. Wherever we use this control statements, we use this boolean operators. Okay, what are this boolean operators? We have three boolean operators: and, or, and not. Okay, so there are few conditions for this, and I think we have learned this also, like when we were doing our basic maths. Okay, arithmetics and all. So whenever we use and, there are four things, like whenever we use and, there should be two parameters, right? And only if both are true, it will be true. Okay, and at least one is false, it is false. Like if it's true and false, false and true, false and false, even if one is false, it is false. Both has to be true, only then it will be true. That is the and operator. Okay, so we will see few examples for that. I have. written them already. Um, yeah. So this is only about and. Okay. So I am using this keyword and here, and I am saying this is one condition and this is one condition, and I want both has to be true, right? Both, only if both are true, that means it is true. Other than that, whatever is there, even if one is false, that is false. Okay, where we use this kind of conditions is that if I wanted to execute a statement and I have two variables, like for example there is x and y, and only if these two are available, then only I wanted to get into the program saying I wanted to add these two numbers. So my prerequisite is that x should not be null and y should not be null. So in that case, we use AND statement, that x is not equal to null, then it will be true, and y not equal to null, then it will be true. Even if one is not available, it will not get into that program. So that is where we use this AND, OR, and NOT. Okay. Now let's see the examples. So first one, I've taken all the scenarios here. First one is 4 greater than 1 and word equal to word, which is both true. So the when I'm using AND, the um, written type what I have to get is boolean true. And the other ones, see 8.76 and 8.7600 is also 8.76, which is a true. And 2 not equal to 2, and 2 is equal to 2, so it is a false. So similarly here I have given earth and earth, but it is case sensitive, so it is not equal. This is false and this is false. The same way 10 is equal to 5, which is false. 10 is not equal to 5, which is true. So all these conditions I have given, and when I run it, only the first statement will return true and all the other three will return false, because I'm using and at least one of them is false in all the other three. Right, so now I'm running this program. If you see, the first one is true and all the others are false. Okay, this is regarding this and. Now there is one more called or. Okay, the conditions for or is that at least one should be true, this or that. Either this should be true or that should be true. So I say both are true, well and good, true. At least one is true, fine, true for me. The same third one is true, it will be true. And the fourth one, it both are false, it is false. I need at least one to be true. Okay, so we will take the same example. Okay, instead of and I will say or. So in the end, I for all the same scenarios, I got only first one as true and the other all false. And now in this scenario, both are false only will give me false. Other than that, everything will give me true, because at least one of them is true. Right? So now if I run, see, third one where both of them are false, I get false. Other than that, all the others are true. Okay, this is regarding the or boolean operator. There is the last one, which is not, not. Okay, and what is not, which is opposite of right. So 4 is greater than 1, which is a true, but I have used not here. That means it is not true. Not true means false. That's all. And here earth is not equal to earth, but those both are equal. So this is a false here. And I'm using a not. That means it is not false. Not false is nothing but true. So first one I have to get false and the second one I have to get true. Okay, so when I run this program, see, first one which is not true, that means false. And the second one, which is not false, that is true. Okay, these are a boolean operators. Any questions here?
No, Prasanna.
Perfect. And then we will start with our flow control statements, but I will just go through like one or two and then we'll stop for today. Okay. um, First one is flow control statements. First one will go with if statement. Okay, so as we said, flow control statements are only to make choice, ability to make choice, that's all. The syntax, what to write an if statement, usually what we'll write in if statement, if there is a condition, if this is true, do this, else do this, that's all. It's a very simple one. So if I say if mm, no, I will write an example. Okay, I will say a wedge equal to, I will ask the user to give me an input, type of vegetable name. Okay, and then what I want is if the vegetable which the user has typed is equal to corn. Okay, then it is same like definition only, but first thing is we have to use the if condition statement, and then there should be a condition. This is a condition. If veg equal to corn, this returns a true value, true or false values, right? If that is same, then it will return true. If that is not same, it will return false. So whenever it is true, then it will get into this function, and the next line whatever you are writing inside this function, there should be a 4 space gap. That means only then it is inside this function. Okay, so what I will do is if this vegetable whatever the user is given is corn, then print it's corn. Okay, that's all. And if I run this and it asked me a name and I say the corn same, then what happens, it will get into this if statement and it will print me this one, right? So I will enter and it printed it. That means this if statement has been executed. So if I run the same and if I type a different name like tomato, and if I click on enter, what happens? There is no condition here, but it will just check this condition and it's not there, so it ends the program. There it will not show any error, but it will just end the program because it is just a condition. Only if this is there, do a program, then don't do the program, just get lost, kind of thing. Okay, but it will not throw any error because we are not giving any wrong value. It might be any value, but only if the valid value what we need, then only it will go and do your program. Okay, so this is our if statement. There is something called else statement, the same thing. mm, I have this one, other than con whatever the user gives, print that this is not con. Okay, we can use this else statements. Else, then print me mm, this is not con. Okay, sorry. Okay, so what I'm saying is if it is con, print this one. Other than that, whatever you give the input, just print this one. Okay, now I'm running it. type a vegetable, I say corn, then it will say it's corn. And when I'm running again, I say the other one and it says this is not corn. Okay, so this is how you can run your program based upon your conditions, right? So for example, this is a very small one. What we will do is, next we will get into this nested loops, loop inside a loop. The same here you see, first one we said this is the condition, right? And if it is yes, do this. If it is no, do this. But if it is no, again there is a condition here, right? There are two conditions. If it is no here, then get again into this condition, and based on this you have to do again. So this is called nested loop. Inside one condition, if you write other condition, this is called as nested loop. Okay. For example, the let's assume a small scenario that a person applies for a loan. Okay. Person applies for a loan. First check is that his GPA, like the grade, should be greater than or equal to 3.7. Think this one. And if it is true, only if it is true, then check whether he has approval from the institute. Okay. And only if this is true, say that he is qualified to get the loan. Okay. The other thing is that if the GPA is not greater than 3.7, he is not qualified. And he has greater than 3.7, but the approval is not there, then he is not qualified. Okay. So let's write this program, and I have it already. Yeah, this one. So here, first thing what I'm saying is, give me the GPA. I'm asking the user to enter the GPA. Okay. So I'm saying I want it in a float, like 3.5, 3.7, you have 9.5, 9.8, whatever it is. Then what the other input we need is the approval. Does he have the approval or no? So what I'm asking the user is, does the student have approval from the institution, right? The first check for us is to give the loan, he is qualified or not. What we will check is whether GPA is greater than or equal to 3.7. So first condition is this one. So once this is done, like if this is 3.7 greater than 3.7, then we will get into our code. Okay. But if it is not greater than 3.7, we will directly say you are not qualified because your GPA is low. Okay. But once he is qualified here, then we will check the second input. What is the second input? Does he has the approval or no? If the answer is yes, if he has the approval, then we say he's qualified. If he has good GPA but he doesn't have the approval, so in the else statement what we say is he's not qualified as there is no approval. Okay, this is the nested statement. I have an if else condition inside an if. Okay, this is called as nested statement. So if I run it here, so for example I give the GPA 3.5, which is less than 3.7, right? So when I enter, it is asking me for the approval. I say I have the approval, but I am not qualified because my GPA is low. So in the first condition itself I failed, and I entered into this else condition, and it is printing this one. Okay, if I run it again, I will see my GPA is 9.2, and if I have the approval, yes, I have the approval, then I'm qualified. Okay, that means it is getting into this. Then I said yes, so this if condition has been continued. And now if I enter the same 9.2 as okay 9 and then approval as no, then it says not qualified because there is no approval. Understood? So here we are doing a nested statement. Similarly, we have multiple, like we can use multiple nested statements inside if, inside if, inside if. Okay. Okay. I think we will end it here today. And tomorrow we will continue on this if else statements. There is also the else if statements, and then we will get into the loops like for and while loops. Okay. And tomorrow we will start with lists, dictionaries, tuples, and sets, which are very important for Python. Okay. Is that fine?
Yeah, Prasanna.
Any questions till now?
No, Prasanna. I'll go through all the recordings today, and if I have any doubts, I'll let you know tomorrow.
Sure. Okay,
Yeah.
great. Sai, I think I'm done for the day.
Okay, okay. Thank you, Prasanna. And Prasanna, make sure that the you make this session as a very interactive one. Uh,
Hmm.
okay, I think Bhavna is a little hesitant to ask you questions. I think so.
Okay, I get it.
Make the session as very interactive so she can learn very quickly. Okay,
Sure.
okay, Bhavna.
Sure, sure. Thank you.
Okay, okay. Thank you, both of
Okay,
you.
thank you.